Welcome to another episode of the Cene Effect podcast. Wherever you're tuning in from, I want to say a special welcome to you. Wherever you're tuning in from, guys, just leave that in the comments below. I want to see how far this podcast is reaching already. We've been having a lot of people commenting and saying how wonderful it is to be a part of this community. And I am eternally grateful to all of you. So continue to join us because we have lots in store for you. In this episode, I want to touch on something a little bit deeper. This episode is the power of your yes. Partnering with God in your business. This has made a big difference in my business, y'all. When I started to partner with God and making Him the CEO of my business, it changed everything because He knows what's going to happen in the future. He already knows the plans that He has put in place. So why not partner with the person who's making the plans? I mean, that's just a simple answer. Partnering with God. So, welcome to the podcast. Today, as I said, we're going to be diving a little bit deeper because the power of your yes, the moment you stop playing small, the moment you start getting the man upstairs involved 100% in your business, that's what's going to set you aside from your other counterparts. Maybe you're stuck between fear and obedience right now. For me, I knew that fear was a big factor for me when I started my business. I was afraid that it was going to fail. I was afraid that I wasn't going to make any money. I was afraid that I would have to go back to my 9 to 5. But God had other plans for me, and He showed me just that. So when you include Him in your plans, this is what's going to open all the doors for you. God can do more with your yes than that big business plan that you have for your business. So your yes is the start of everything. I didn't have a degree in business. I didn't grow up around a lot of entrepreneurs, but something stirred up in my spirit that wanted me to take this next step without me even realizing it. And so the moment that I told God yes, that's when He started to work in my life. The moment I said yes to whatever plans He had for me, because I had a coworker at the time when I was working in the medical field that said, "Girl, why are you still at this job? If you hate it so much, if you don't want to be here, just quit." And I was like, what am I going to do? That day, I internalized what she said to me. And when I got home, I spoke to God in prayer. And I told Him that whatever plans He had for me, I was going to say yes. And the next day when I went to work, they fired me. I didn't know that was what God's plan was. But during that storm, I was disappointed. I was afraid. I didn't know what was going to come next. But because I said yes, He put the plan into play immediately. So be careful what you ask for because He will answer your prayers. So once I said yes, everything started to align. Proverbs 16 verse 3 says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." Isn't that amazing? So what your yes really means, let's break this down. Your yes doesn't mean that you have to figure it out on your own. Your yes means you're giving it to God and He is putting it into fruition. You're ready to be obedient. You're ready to take that next step, even though you don't see where it's headed. And that's why prayer is so important. When you pray to God, He opens up the doors for you and also gives you the vision that He has in mind for you so you can see ahead, just the same way He has seen ahead for you. Because trust me, right now, as I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you, I see the future, the vision for Seeing Beauty. I see the plans that God has for it. Now that I'm so in tune with Him, now that I've drawn closer to Him, now that I've changed my life and I'm living for Him. That's the same way He can make these plans come to life for you. The closer you are, the more He will open your eyes. Isaiah 1 verse 19 says, "If you're willing and obedient, you'll eat the good of the land. If you are obedient to Christ and you follow him diligently, he will give you what you ask for. It's like you going to the bank and you asking the bank for some money. If you are not consistently showing the bank that you are a good steward and you're able to pay the money back based on how you bank with them and based on how you build that relationship with them, they won't give you the money, or they will give you the money depending on how you are with that person, with the bank. So building a good relationship with Christ, being a good steward makes a world of difference when you're coming to him in prayer. This is how you partner with God practically. You start by praying. Before a client walks in, you say a word of prayer. Before you open the door to your business, you say a word of prayer. Before you even put a plan into action, you say a word of prayer, because everything you ask for in prayer, God will solidify it in reality. I listen for strategy when I pray. I listen to what God has to say afterwards. Sometimes God will drop a caption or an idea for a new order or offer, or even how to reach out to people. He's done that for me in my business, and he can do the same thing for you. Just continue to reach out to him. Our prayer is our phone line to Christ. Our prayer is our phone line to the other side. So use your prayers to stay connected to God. Act in faith. You know, when I first opened up my first location, once I leave the suite that I was renting, and I went ahead and I found the first location for Scene Beauty, I did not know how successful that business was going to be. This next jump in my business was going to be. But I leaned on faith, because if you have a small amount of faith, as small as a mustard seed, you will see how God will work in your life. When I walked into that space, my husband was like, "Girl, what is this?" But I knew that God was going to give me what I asked for. I saw the vision in that space. And even though I didn't know where it was going to take us, I leaned on God even more in that moment and trusted in faith to open up that space. Even before the space was done, I started to show people that I wanted to rent the space from me. And this one person came in and they looked at the space, was like, this don't look like it's going anywhere. How do you know that this is going to be successful? I looked at the person and I said, you know what? All I have is faith, and I'm going to use my faith, and I'm going to continue to go in the way that God wanted me to go. And they didn't sign the lease with me. They didn't want to be a part of it, because to them, in their eyes, it looked like a dump. But in my eyes, I saw the vision that God had set out for Scene Beauty. So always act on faith. What happens after yes? After your yes comes responsibility, but also the results. You will start to see things going into place as you start to take those actions. Doors will open. The right clients will come to you. The right deals will come to you. The right space is going to come to you. When I walked into that space for the first location for Scene Beauty, when I walked in there and I went to see I did the first walkthrough, and the gentleman that showed us the space, he walked me through the space, but there was another person that was there. It was a business owner, another female, and a gentleman, that they came together to take a look at the space. And I had asked the guy that was showing us, like, what's the difference between me and them into getting the space? And he basically said, it's the person with the most money. Two people against one. So you know what I did that day? I walked around the space. I loved it. I prayed. But when I got outside into my vehicle, I said, Lord, if this space is for me, let it be for me. And that was it. Because what God has put in place, no man can take away from you. What doors God has opened for you, no man can shut. And so I took that to heart that day. And I said, God, I give it to you. 2 weeks after, the landlord called and he said, "Hey, are you still interested in the space?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Okay, come and pick up the keys so we can do the final walkthrough." Who could it be but God? In that moment, God showed up and he showed out for me because it didn't matter how much money those two was going to put up together. I already knew that God got me, and he sure did. So guys, take that yes to God. When you say yes to God, you don't just build a business, you build a legacy. So finally, guys, I have for you this free checklist, this beauty checklist that's going to help you to build a solid foundation for your business and to say yes the right way. This checklist has all the information that you need to solidify your business, the foundation that you need to set up, also all of the other plans that you need to go through with the logistics. All of that is in this checklist. So please go ahead and sign up for this checklist because now is the time for you to grow your business. If this episode reached somebody or touched you, like, leave a comment, and share with somebody else. I am your host, Francine, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you.